Welcome, everybody. I'm Christine Valenza-Shin, and I am from Beyond Barnard. I'm the interim executive director, and my pleasure to host our this semester's information session for SEAS. And you can see from the number of interested students, as well as the various staff and faculty we have on board, that there are multiple pathways, and that's part of what we're going to try and unpack today. So give me a second. I'm going to share my screen and get us started. Excellent. So we've got the official name, but we tend to call it the SEAS 4+1. And we're squeaking it in just under the fall 2022 information, fall 2022 deadline. So what we're going to look at today, I'm going to start us off with just an overview of the 4+1 pathways. And then I will we'll get an application timeline and process overview, and then focus in on some of the specific pathways and some of their variations, and then leave time at the end for questions and answers. You can put your questions in the chat along the way if you would like as well, but we will go from there. We want to make sure we capture full attendance, so there's a form in the chat that will pop up every few minutes, and all we need is your uni, but that way we've got an official record of who came and we can communicate with you further. So I'm going to start with the overview of the 4+1 pathways. This is, I don't know if it's exactly it's not really a mission statement as much as it is just a statement about the 4+1 pathways in general. There are pathways with 5 different graduate schools at Barnard, and SEAS being just one of them, and multiple pathways within SEAS. So currently we have pathways in chemical engineering, biomedical engineering, civil, electrical, or mechanical engineering, computer science, and industrial engineering, and operations research. And speaking of that last one, I wanted to give a moment for Professor Rajiv Sethi, who's the faculty lead for the IEOR pathway, to introduce himself, say a few words, because he has to cut out a little bit early. You'll get the rest of the overview on that program later from the Columbia folks. So Professor Sethi, do you want to say a few words?
Yeah, thank you. Could I share my screen, Christine? I'll just take 5 minutes and then I have to leave. I have to head to the airport for a flight. Is that possible? My screen sharing is disabled, so if you could just make me co-host, or can you hear me? Can someone let me know if you can hear me?
We can hear you, Christine. You were muted, so that might, there we go.
1 second. And we'll get you co-host capabilities. Stop sharing mine and make you. There you are. Excellent.
Okay. Okay, thanks very much. So I have to leave soon, so I'll just be very brief, but let me just let you know a little bit about myself and the IEOR program that I advise students on. Let me share my screen. Give me 1 second. Okay, so I'm in the economics department, but that's just basically by coincidence. It's not because economics is necessarily the best major to match with the IEOR program. It's not a bad one, econ math in particular, or econ stat. But basically, what happened is that I worked with IEOR to set up this pathway, and so it just so happens that the information about it is hosted on the economics department website. So if you go to the economics department website, firstly, if you need to talk to me for any reason, you can just sign up on my calendar, and over there, if you look under faculty and staff, you'll find a link to my calendar, and you can just sign up anytime, or just email me if none of the times works for you. Now, if you go to the IEOR economics and operations research 4+1 pathway, you can ignore the economics if you like. If your major is different, that's totally fine. But basically the thing you should focus on, so you can ignore all the stuff about the people who are doing it. What's described over here is the way in which you can combine an econ math major with the 4+1 pathway, but you can ignore all the economics requirements and just focus on 2 things. One is these 4 courses over here. which are multivariable calculus for engineering and applied science, or Calc 3. Most people would at Barnard would have taken Calc 3 if they're interested in this program. Linear algebra, again, pretty standard for any econ math or math major. Intro to probability and stats, that's the 4001 level. The details are up here. That's the intro to probability and stat GU 4001. That's part of the econ math major, econ stat major. And you can, that's one of the courses that they're going to look for. Again, the IEOR people can correct me or add information as they see fit. And then foundations of data science. And these 4 courses you should have taken by the end of your junior year. Sorry, by the end of the fall semester of your junior year, ideally, if you're going to apply in the February of the spring semester of your junior year. In addition to that, you might want to also take analysis and optimization, which is right here, which is not one of the listed courses, but I think it's something that's quite useful to have on your transcript. And then the 5 different tracks in the IEOR major, unless it's changed, are also listed here. And for that, you'll get information from the folks at IEOR. But they'll tell you about what these individual tracks are and which ones are harder to get into. Financial engineering is a bit harder to get into and probably harder to complete as well. But I'm just going to stop share right here. And so I just wanted people to be aware of 2 things. You go to economics department webpage, you'll find my calendar. You can sign up. I'll talk to you anytime. And you'll also find some basic information that you should look at before you sign up. So I'm going to stop there. If there's any questions, I'll take them. Otherwise, I'll just leave and just get my stuff together.
Thank you so much. Thanks for fitting us in and have a great flight.
Are there any questions for me or should I hand off to?
Anybody want to? What we'll do is we'll feel if any come up in the chat or at the end.
Yeah, you can send me, or they can just sign up. They can just sign up on my office, my calendar. Yeah. Okay. Bye-bye. Good to see you all.
Thanks so much. All right. So yeah, so we kind of jumped ahead a little there, but happy to have been able to do that. Oops, sorry, I want to go back to, great. Okay. So I just wanted to, the last thing I wanted to give an overview of is advising and support. So as you can tell, there's sort of a 3-pronged effort here. There is Beyond Barnard, which serves both as an advising hub and a sort of liaison for the 4+1 pathways on various administrative matters. But on the advising, and then we have the faculty leads on the Barnard side, and then we have a combination of faculty and staff leads and support and advisors on the Columbia side. So I just wanted to there is definitely some overlap over who to talk to, but generally speaking, you would start, most of you, especially if you're in your 1st and 2nd years at Beyond Barnard, you start with this info session actually, and then you can come in for an individual advising appointment. We're here to discuss with you how the possible pathways fit into what you're thinking about, both academically and career-wise, and just sort of talk about that decision and where your interest lies and if it's going to be a good fit. Also give you an overview of the application requirements and timeline, especially as it gets closer. And then once you are actually actively applying, whether you get started on your application in the fall of your junior year or as you approach the deadline, February 15th of your junior year, we can help brainstorm or review your personal statement, go over your resume or CV. And we often also will talk through people, they're sort of struggling, who do I put down for references? And we're happy to talk through that part with you. The Barnard faculty leads can talk to you about a lot of different things as well, but are the main source on the Barnard side of looking at your academic progress. How are you doing, towards your requirements, general majors, et cetera, and how do you plan to finish them, and whether you're going to, how you can fit in SEAS prerequisites, and then if you want to get started on some courses in year 4, your senior year at Barnard, and how you'll manage it in year 5 as well. The SEAS administrators, advisors, and faculty are there to answer your questions, help work through what the curriculum is of the particular pathway in their department, and then there's sometimes multiple pathways within individual departments, making sure you're clear on the requirements for each concentration. And then if there's any application logistic questions, they are the go-to people for that. And then definitely also there to talk about career pathways, if you want to talk about it in a general way looking forward, or once you're actually in the program, to talk to you about career issues, career possibilities, and other things like that. So as I said, there's some overlap, but generally speaking, you'll start on the Barnard side with Beyond Barnard and Barnard faculty advisors. And then as you get closer to the actual application process, check in with some folks in the SEAS departments as well. So now I'm going to turn things over to Gabrielle Gannon, the Director of Graduate Admissions at SEAS and our wonderful partner on all of the questions and many variations that arise when we talk about the pathway.
Thank you. So these are the pathways that we have open, as you see here: chemical engineering, biomedical engineering, civil engineering, electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, computer science, and then the IEOR department, which includes 5 different programs: industrial engineering, operations research, business analytics, financial engineering, and management science and engineering. So it's a really great, robust set of programs and offerings. And we're really excited to offer these to Barnard students. You know, this program has been running now for a few years, and we've enrolled a really wonderful cohort of Barnard students. And it's just been a real pleasure to see students progress through the program and succeed. So I will talk through the application details now. So the application timeline. So it's important to keep in mind that it's a 2-part process. So you apply into the pathway program in your junior year. You see those dates here. The application is open. It is available for you as we speak. And you apply in your junior year, and you are admitted at the point of your junior year into the pathway program. And at that point, you are still an undergraduate student. Your degree does not change. You still are a Barnard undergrad student. I think that's really important to keep in mind. However, you are on the pathway. And so you will begin working with Beyond Barnard and the SEAS faculty to register for some coursework, which you could eventually put towards your master's degree, as long as you don't put it towards your bachelor's degree. So that's important to keep in mind. But you have the ability to earn master's degree, graduate level credits while an undergrad. And that's really beneficial to students, particularly if you are receiving aid. So you may as well earn those credits while you're an undergraduate student. And like I said, they cannot be put towards your bachelor's degree. But if they are not put towards your bachelor's degree, you could apply them to the master's degree, I believe up to 12 credits. So your senior year, you are, like I said, an undergrad student at Barnard, enrolled in your Barnard classes, finishing up, getting your degree, maybe cross-registered over at SEAS and working towards the master's simultaneously. During your senior year, you will then at that point submit what we call the completion app. And the completion app is how the department approves that you have met the requirements of the pathway program, that you've done well in the courses. And then at that point, you are officially admitted into the master's program for the fall following your graduation from your undergraduate program. You can apply those credits to your graduate degree. Most master's degrees are 30 credits. Almost all are 30 credits, with the exception of a few IEOR programs. So if you do 12, for example, while you are an undergraduate student, that just leaves you with 18 credits. You could easily do that within 1 year. You could do, 9 credits in the fall, 9 credits in the spring. If you are on a student visa, then you would do 12 credits in the fall as an international student, and then 6 credits in the spring. Either way, you get to expedite this process and graduate earlier than your peers, and get out there into the world with both of your bachelor's and your master's from 2 pretty great institutions, if I do say so myself. So I believe the next slide has the application requirements, and we try to keep it pretty simple, right? We don't want to make this a laborious process. The application fee is waived. Test scores are waived. You will upload your Barnard transcript. If you went anywhere before Barnard, if you transferred in, you'll also need to upload that transcript. You'll write a personal statement. You'll create a resume. And you will provide contact information for 3 reference providers. They don't need to provide letters. They should just be 3 faculty members that, if we called up, would speak highly of you. That's it. Like I said, very straightforward. So you'll submit this at the point of your junior year, when you're applying into the pathway program. When you are headed towards graduation and you are ready to transition into the master's component, and you would then submit the completion app, you will just re-upload these materials. And you'll upload a fresh new transcript, but all the other materials can stay the same. And again, application fee is waived, test scores are waived. At that point, it's really a formality. So those are the requirements. And I know we will have time for Q&A at the end, but we added a few of our most frequently asked questions here on this slide. The first one is admission into the MS program guaranteed if you do the pathway program. And admission into the pathway program is essentially conditional admission into the MS. So long as you meet the requirements, so long as you follow the advice of your advisor and you maintain the 3.5 GPA requirement, then you will be admitted into the MS program. The second question is if you will be considered for funding for the MS program. So it's important to keep in mind that funding for graduate degrees is very different than funding for undergraduate degrees. At a base level, for those of you who currently receive funding via the FAFSA, if you are a U.S. citizen or permanent resident, there just isn't government funding available for graduate programs like there is for undergrad. And that is why we do encourage you to take graduate level courses as an undergraduate if you can. However, you will be eligible to be considered for any of the funding opportunities that we do offer. So we do offer a few funding opportunities that are particularly designed to support students from underrepresented backgrounds. And so you will still be eligible to apply for those at the point of you applying into the master's program. And my last little question here is what other application options are available? So if you are unable to participate in the pathway program, maybe it's already past your junior year, or maybe you're interested in another SEAS program, I want you to know that there is also a program available called the MS Express application. And that is open to currently enrolled Columbia or affiliate students. So that includes Barnard. And you would submit an application, and it's the same requirements as the Barnard app. So again, no fee, no tests, no letters of reference. And again, it's an express way to apply. So if the pathway doesn't fit your needs, I want you to know that that express application is also an option for you. So I will be here and happy to answer questions, when we're all done, but I will let my colleagues take it away now.
So I just want to add one thing to what Gabrielle was saying about funding, which is that we do have a limited amount of funding from the Sloan Foundation that is based on your financial aid status at Barnard. So if you're on financial aid and if you are identified as high need financial aid, you can be eligible for funding that includes some loan forgiveness, tuition forgiveness, a living stipend during year 5, and there's a couple other smaller financial supports. So there's more information about that on our website, and I'm also happy to talk to anybody, answer any questions about that either at the end of this session, or if you want to sign up for, you can shoot me an email or come to an advising appointment. I'm happy to go into more detail about that if you are on financial aid while at Barnard. So let's take a look and now get specific on some of these pathways. Starting with chemical engineering, the Barnard faculty lead for chemical engineering is Professor Rachel Nairhood Austin. Some of you may already know her if you're interested in chemical engineering. She was not able to be here for the info session today. But we've got a couple people from the Chem-E-MS committee. So I've listed contact information there, and I'm going to show one slide and then let them hop on and tell you in more detail about the sort of Columbia side of things. Just wanted to provide this link. We'll be sending this recording to everyone who registered for the event, and we'll also have a PDF of these slides so that you can follow the links and all this information. But the chemical engineering, the Barnard Chemistry Department has, if you follow this link, outlined a course plan for how to get your prerequisites done, and possibly take a couple courses ahead as well. So let me, I'm not sure if Scott or Aaron or both want to speak, but whoever wants to hop on and talk a little bit about what the chemical engineering program looks like from your side of the street and sample schedule.
Yeah, hi. So my name is Scott Banta. So I'm chair of the chemical engineering department now. I've been the chair of the master's committee for the last 4 or 5 years. I'm stepping aside, so this will probably be my last time doing this, but I'm handing it off to good people here who are also online. But I just want to say this is, from the department, we're really excited about this opportunity. Our master's program has grown quite a bit in the last few years, but we've been especially excited to be able to grow the Barnard program as well. We've graduated a couple of Barnard students now. We have 4 or 5 in the program right now, so it's been growing every year. I think it's a really great opportunity. We're really happy to be able to pair up with chemistry. On the previous slide, we showed sort of our new mission statement for the department. We're working on, our advertisements for the department. There's more information on this on the website. Research areas in the department sort of focus on sustainability and on energy and on and health issues and sustainability in all those areas. And so our course trajectories are focused in these areas. I think in the coming slides, we'll have some information on that. I wanted to turn things over. So Aaron Moment's on the line here as well. And so is Professor Chris Chen, who they will both be advisors to the program. I think Chris was going to maybe go through some of the other slides and requirements here. Welcome. And
yeah, I mean, I can make a couple of comments about the student. The students that we've had come through the chemical engineering program from Barnard have been fantastically successful. We've really liked having them, and their career trajectories have been amazing. So I'm happy to speak with any individual students who want to learn more about what those opportunities look like. Chemical engineering is unique in its treatment of molecules and processing, so it hopefully appeals to young chemists. And I'm happy to talk with any student that's interested about what the Barnard students have done and are doing in this program. So with that, I'll turn it over to Chris.
Yeah. So what we wanted to do here is just kind of quickly show you what an example schedule would look like when you're coming through our program as a 4-1 student through Barnard. And so because you'll have some courses completed, we kind of have our 30 total credits needed, but some of these are in parentheses because you probably would have already completed those courses as a senior at Barnard. And so when you're spending your full year with us, there are 5 different courses that you're going to have to take. 4 are core courses to our MS program, and we have an additional course that's a requirement for the Barnard 4+1 students to kind of make sure you're rounding out your kind of chemical engineering essentials coming through our program. After that, you have to complete just another handful of electives, right? You already have kind of 5 required courses. You'll have 5 more electives that will be taken across these last 2 terms, depending on how many electives you had taken as a senior. In order to kind of tune your course through our MS program, we do offer 4 concentrations, which requires that you take at least 4 electives within that track of the 6 electives total that you need to take, or 5 for 4+1 students. And we offer that in biotechnology and biopharmaceuticals that Professor Moment kind of leads on, climate solutions, which I'm the main advisor on, data computational science. Professor Urban, who's listed, is in charge of, an electrochemical energy, which I also kind of help advise on for the MS students. You could find all of this information through the link that's shown at the bottom of the slide. I'll show you kind of the list of common classes that people take as electives within our department along these tracks. And so if you're interested in doing any of these tracks, as you're starting to kind of get into this program, and as you're senior, this could be a good way to kind of help guide you as to which courses within our department could be of interest to you, depending on which of these 4 tracks you'd like to follow. Or if you decide you do not want to follow a track, you don't need to have a concentration coming out of our MS program. You could take any types of electives which are within our department 4,000 level and higher to count towards your MS. So with that, I'll know if we're holding questions to the very end, but we're happy to answer any questions that may come up now, or we can wait.
Yeah, actually, if you've got specific questions, if you could do those in the chat so that if you want to ask questions right now, that would be great. Do it in the chat because we're going to kind of keep moving through these, or you can wait until the end and ask them out loud. So, but thank you very much, everybody from chemical engineering who joined us. It's a sort of small but mighty cohort, and as mentioned, a growing number of students interested in it. So, thank you so much. And Okay, so biomedical engineering, Professor Austin is also the faculty lead for that. If you're coming from any of these 5 majors, and if you're coming from physics and astronomy, math, or computer science, Professor Mukherjee is the faculty lead for that. Either one of them can answer general questions, and then we'll move you to the other with specifics. And then there is our faculty lead for whatever your major is on the Columbia side is Professor Clark Hung. I don't think they're here, but shared contact information, and want to just encourage anybody interested in biomedical engineering to follow up with anybody listed on this page, or if that seems too confusing who to reach out to, you can always reach out to Beyond Barnard and we'll get you steered in the right direction. So there's a whole variety of majors that can feed into biomedical engineering, and there's a link here as well to the curricular requirements. So that's always a good place to start, sort of getting the lay of the land, and then any specific questions you have, you can follow up usually starting on the Barnard side of the street, but also you're welcome at any time to reach out to our Columbia contact as well. So we do have several people here from the civil, electrical, and mechanical engineering side of things. The Barnard faculty lead is Professor Mukherjee, who also was not able to be here today, but very available to students if you want to email her, set up an appointment with her. And then we've got the contact information for the individual departments across the street. And I believe we have a couple of folks here. Electrical engineering, anybody here? Sorry, there were a few last minute RSVPs, so I didn't keep track of everything. Anybody from electrical, civil, or mechanical could hop in at this point. Kristen,
Hi, I'm here for mechanical.
All right, let's jump ahead.
Hi, everybody. I'm Professor Kristen Myers, an associate professor of mechanical engineering. I'm also the director of undergraduate studies. It was me and my colleague, Professor Gerard Ateshin, who put together the mechanical engineering Barnard 4+1 program. We were really excited about it. I'm not going to go through much of the details of the coursework, et cetera. That's all online. Me and Professor Ateshin are contacts, direct contacts. You can email us and we can set up advising sessions. I did want to say that I just wanted to talk about what our master's program can offer. So a lot of us are physicists ourselves. The chair of our department, Professor Jim Hone, is a physicist. We have a biophysicist, Professor Karen Keza, that looks at the interface of cells and how they develop and grow. We have tracks within our master's program. We like to consider ourselves the makers and builders engineers. We have a lot of hands-on opportunities here in mechanical engineering. We have a huge machine shop, a mech tech center, and we're positioned right across from the makerspace here in Mudd, which is really great. And we have really close ties to everybody who runs the makerspace. But specific tracks we have are in energy sustainability. We have a huge robotics track with multiple robotics faculty that come from multidisciplinary backgrounds. We have a biomechanics thrust, which I'm involved in, and I'm leading an effort in women's health innovation across the university, along with some partners in electrical engineering and biomedical engineering. That's been really excited. We've been getting a lot of female engineers interested in women's health applications, so please email me if you're interested in that. We have concentrations in mechanics, controls, manufacturing. A lot of our graduating students are very interested in aeronautics and space. We have the Columbia Space Initiative that originated from our department, but it's open school-wide. We have an astronaut on our faculty, so we have a very active group of students who are very interested in working at commercial space companies. And we also have a track in micro nano. And again, I just want to sort of focus on our hands-on. Professor Hod Lipson teaches a master's level robotics studio. There's over 100 people in it and everybody makes a robot. It's actually really fascinating to see so many students actually to be able to build and make things. So we're a very active department. And that's all I wanted to say. So again, you can reach out to me or Professor Ateshin. We can set up advising sessions for specific course-based questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And you brought up a really important point, which is that so many of the Columbia faculty members worked closely together with Barnard faculty members to create these pathways. And I have to say, having sort of overseen these info sessions for the last 3 years, it's like every time we do, and there's just more. It just seems like there's just amazing things going on in all the departments and so much interdisciplinary work. It's really exciting. It's exciting to be a part of it. Just want to backtrack quickly just to point out the fact, again, we'll share the PDF of this as well as the recording, that there's links to the various departments and contacts as well. So follow up as needed with your specific questions if you're considering any of these pathways. So now we get to one of our most popular, at least by number, of the SEAS pathways, which is computer science. And I want to turn things over to Professor Rebecca Wright, who's the Barnard faculty lead and department chair for computer science.
Great, thanks, Christine, and happy to see a lot of familiar names in the students here today. So I think we have continuing a lot of interest from computer science students in the 4+1 pathway. The 4+1 pathway in computer science is open to computer science majors and also computer science minors. And I would say that is considered also to include students at Barnard who do special majors in data science or information science, which on the Barnard side are housed as special majors in computer science, and on the equivalently at Columbia, those are actually standing majors that are housed within computer science. And also, I should say, Math CS similarly is considered eligible for that. That's a standing major on both sides. So sort of computer science and those related ones, or also a computer science minor. The idea in the master's program is really to gain both more breadth in computer science, so supplementing what you've learned as an undergraduate with the opportunity to take more classes covering more areas, and then also more depth, the ability to go in depth in a track like we do in the undergraduate computer science curriculum. And that can be a related track, like your master's track and your undergrad track can be the same or similar, or it can be quite a different track. So it can, again, be an opportunity to sort of go broader, learn more in depth about another sub area that you focused on as an undergrad, or continue even deeper in the same area. The tracks on the master's level are computational biology, computer security, foundations of computer science, machine learning, natural language processing, network systems, software systems, vision graphics, interaction, and robotics, plus a personalized track where you get to design your own with some oversight from the Columbia Master's Advisors, or a thesis track that's research-based. So if you're very familiar with our undergraduate tracks, you'll see that there some of them are identical names, and some of them are new or kind of spread out from how we combine them at the undergrad level. Structurally, it's pretty straightforward. So there are 10 classes at the same 30 credits, assuming they're all 3-credit courses. For the master's required, you take at least 2 of those while you're an undergrad. That leaves at most 8 left, and so you can do 4 and 4. As Gabrielle Gannon said earlier, you can actually do more. I think you're allowed to actually, like, from the rules perspective, I think you're allowed to do up to 15 credits, which would be 5 classes while you're still an undergraduate. Of course, that would be quite a lot, but maybe adding 1 or 2 to those, more to those 2 will just be that much more efficient and cost effective in terms of what you do while you're an undergraduate. Those classes, and I'll reiterate this as well, because it is very important, and sometimes we see people who somehow miss this. The classes that you're going to count towards the master's degree can't be counted in any way towards your undergraduate degree. So not towards your major, not towards any GERs, not towards your overall credit. So they really have to be above and beyond. But planning to do that is as I say in here in the slides, it's needed, but it is overall very flexible. So if you are a computer science major declared already, you'll know that we in our department give you an individualized spreadsheet that we work with to communicate, and we will add, if you get accepted to the 4+1, a section where we communicate about that as well. And you can, while we're just still in communication and you're still an undergraduate and we haven't applied everything officially to your graduation, we can move things back and forth if you decide for one reason or another you want to use things one way or another. I think it's a great way to learn more, deepen your understanding. There's plenty of job opportunities available to undergrads graduating with a computer science degree, but there's lots more that you can do, that you may still want to learn, and learning that in an educational situation versus, say, learning it on your own or on the job. If that's what you want to do, this is a really efficient and high quality way to do that. Is that my last slide, Christine? Just the one?
Here's some of the tracks.
Oh, okay, I got ahead of myself. So those are the tracks, and there's detailed descriptions of those on the Columbia website. And in terms of applying, I will say this is a question we get a lot on the computer science side. So those 3 references do not all have to be faculty. If you've done internships and you've worked closely with people that can represent your intellectual capabilities, your qualifications in terms of computer science and sort of overall, we recommend you do have at least one, maybe ideally 2 people who are faculty, but if you want to have one of those references be from industry, that is definitely fine.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And last but definitely not least, we will return to IEOR. If you came in late, you missed an opportunity to meet Professor Rajiv Sethi, who is the faculty lead on the Barnard side. And he can talk to you. You can follow up with an appointment with him to talk to him about any questions about your Barnard plan and completing the prerequisites. But we have I'm going to turn things over to Carmen and then Gabby from SEAS to talk to you a little bit more about their program. You're up first.
Hi, my name is Carmen. I'm currently the Director of Academic and Student Affairs for IEOR, Industrial Engineering and Operations Research. And then I guess you could go to the next slide. Our one department is home to 5 master's programs, as discussed earlier. We have industrial engineering, operations research, business analytics, financial engineering, and management science engineering. So we had the industrial engineering and operations research are the 2 programs that are 30 credits that can be done part-time or full-time. And then our remaining 3 programs, our flagship, are 36 credits. And typically students finish in typically 3 semesters. These are only full-time programs. What's special, I would like to highlight 2 programs, business analytics and management science engineering. These 2 are actually in partnership with business school. And what this allows us is that students are able to take courses from both engineering and business school and earn a degree of engineering. And for financial engineering, and for those 2 programs, there also is a capstone project course that is anywhere between 1 semester to 1 year. And students are able to work on a live project with clients in the Tri-State area, working on deliverables from big data projects to operations consulting deliverables. And so that's a really exciting opportunity for students to get more hands-on industry experience. Just to highlight, these are the 4 courses that we want to see students complete by the end of the first fall semester for junior year: linear algebra, topology, statistics, multivariable calculus, and foundations of data science. Now, for students that join our MS program, you'll all be assigned 1 faculty advisor. In addition to your faculty advisor, you'll also be assigned a career placement coach that will be there to guide you on your career journey, on your resume, networking, interview, and essentially helping you look through internships and full-time placement offers. And then you also have my team, the academic affairs team, guiding you during your academic studies.
Excellent. And I think
it's me. Hello, everyone. It's Gabby. Thank you, Carmen. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Christine. So I'm Gabby Lilienthal. You might recognize me because I am the fifth picture on this slide, but I am actually coming to you from sort of the school level, School of Engineering and Applied Sciences. So what I do is professional development and leadership for every single graduate student here at SEAS. So that means no matter which department that you choose, no matter what program that you go to, I know that Carmen just touched on this, there is a dedicated career coach for you in your department. So a person that is dedicated to place every student into the careers and the jobs that they're looking for, whether it's going for a PhD, going to industry, summer internships, things like that. We do have dedicated staff for that role, but before you see them, hopefully you'll see me. I actually manage the degree requirement of professional development here at the School of Engineering. That means that every master's student, every graduate student here at the School of Engineering, these are those coaches that I mentioned, goes through this course, which means that you'll do, 10 professional development sessions in your 2 semesters of your graduate degree. So I am this first pillar here, this professional development session piece. And then your own departments will have events, networking, right, with your faculty, staff, alum that are relevant to your specific department. You'll have those career coaches that you just saw on the slide, as well as we provide resources, a career platform, events, scheduling, all to our graduate students. That's sort of different from Handshake and other things that you may have used before. It's specific for engineers, and we source roles, jobs, application events specifically for our students. So you will have access to all that information. But like I said, professional development leadership not only is this degree requirement, but hopefully is an asset to all of our students. The intention is to make sure that every single student who comes through as a graduate student, right, they have this foundational level of professional skill when they graduate. So whatever it is that you'd like to do, we don't just want to know about it and help you get there, but you and all of your peers in your program and across the school will be in these professional development courses together. We're the largest class in the School of Engineering, which means you're not just in, with your cohort, you are also with your people, you're with computer scientists, you're with biomedical, you're with mechanical, you're with every single program. You're sitting next to people who you might not have even seen or met or be able to, cross paths with at the school. So I think this is a great opportunity for our engineers. This program is really specific to the School of Engineering right now, although it is gaining popularity across Columbia and Princeton. But nonetheless, we want to be able to provide you with access to resources, skills for the next step in your career, and just the foresight into what you're looking for with resources, tips, tools, coaching to get you there. So that's what this degree requirement is about. And we will meet, right? So if you do join the 4+1 program, when you begin the graduate study portion of it, that's when this professional development and leadership begins. And that's when you meet me and my wonderful team. You have 2 semesters to get this requirement done. And it is as easy as attending, 10 professional development sessions in 2 semesters. So these sessions are no longer than 2 hours in length, and you get to sort of select the sessions that fit your interest and availability. We have classes Monday, Wednesday, Friday, morning, evening, afternoon. So that way we can accommodate your schedules, but also your interests. This is the perfect slide, Christine.
Okay.
So I know, as graduate school happens, you might be a little bit busy. Maybe you're working through some really tough classes. You got a full course load. We absolutely understand that. That's why we get started before the term even begins. We typically begin PDL in professional development leadership, aka PDL, if you hear me say it. But we begin professional development leadership in July, in August, virtually via Zoom. So that way you can get started on like the critical skills for job searching, for your future applications before your coursework even starts. We're trying to meet you where you are, provide you skills that can help you get there, and then resources and coaching as you go up throughout that degree to take these skills that you learn in PDL, pass the degree requirement in the course, and then use them with your career coach to find the next thing for you. I think there might be one more slide, but if not, these are a sampling of our electives that we offer. They have everything from, life management, managing anxiety, which, none of us have. We have adaptability, cryptography, technical skills, consulting and interview skills, to financial wellness, ethics and integrity, formal email writing, whatever it is that you think that you need to develop, I can assure you that we have a session for you. So this is where you'll hopefully find your ability to self-assess, think of the things that might fit best for you, and then attend those sessions to be able to develop and also meet some amazing faculty, staff, and subject matter experts that we bring in to teach this course, because we really are a faculty and put on by the people who do these things the best. We bring in a lot of people from industry, people from the departments. I'm sure we're very grateful to have them, and they are participating in this class because they know the value of professional development and leadership, not only as a student, but learning it now before you enter your PhD or industry, to be able to have that leg up on, the beginning of your career and whatever that next thing is for you. So this is how we support you from, a soft skills standpoint, from a professional development standpoint, if you do choose to go to the graduate program. And I hope to meet you all. It's been great to, connect with you, see some of your faces. And if you have any questions, we are the PDL website, which you can see at the bottom left-hand of the screen. And we have an email address, which we can put in the chat as well. But any questions, happy to answer them. Otherwise, I think that's everything from me, Christine. Thank you for letting me have this time.
So here we are almost at the end. You can see everything that we've covered, and you can see on the one hand that, it could almost be a little overwhelming how many possibilities there are here. But I think also just always impressed with all of your ability to break it down, give the overall message, and make it make sense. And just assure everyone that we'll answer some questions now, and then all of us are here for follow-up questions to help you continue considering these pathways. And if you are set on applying, to support you through that process, as well as year 4, as we refer to the Barnard senior year, and then year 5, which is your full year as a SEAS student. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll stop sharing and open things up to questions. And just we've given you a ton of contact information, but if you are ever in doubt, just send it to beyondbarnard@barnard.edu. I'm on that email, but even more regularly, my colleague Emily DeLella, who is also here, is here to answer any questions she knows the answer to, and then direct it to everyone from there. So you can never go wrong with emailing us as a starting point. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing and take a look at what we have. Anything in the, so please feel free to come off camera and or unmute, raise your hand to ask a question, or go ahead and drop your question in the chat, and let's open it up. So first up we have, is it possible to do this pathway along with the pre-health track at Barnard? The answer to most of these questions, we get this a lot. Can I study abroad? Can I do a double major? Can I have a minor and a major? The question is always, the answer is almost always yes, but it does take careful planning. And so we encourage you, especially if you are a first year or a second year, and even if it feels a little too early to be planning all of this out, we encourage you to come and talk to either start with an advisor at Beyond Barnard to talk in general, but then to meet with one of the Barnard faculty leads as soon as possible to map out how that's going to look, what your major is going to be, how you'll fit in the pre-health or the study abroad or the other, possible things you want to add on to this experience, and then see if it's still possible to fit in. So generally, yes, but careful planning. So the earlier you see somebody to talk through your individual situation, the better. So let's see, can we apply to multiple pathways, computer science and IEOR, or just one? That's an interesting question. Gabrielle, you want to field that one?
Yeah, you can only apply to one program. So you can only apply to one program at a time. So I would recommend that you think very carefully about what potential master's degree you would want to do. Ultimately, you can only enroll in one master's program at a time, and you can only apply to one master's at a time. So I would give it a lot of thought, and then select and make your application accordingly.
And if you're early stages, we definitely can talk through different pathways here at Beyond Barnard. Probably might be even better to, you're absolutely welcome, especially as a first year or sophomore, or even if you're a junior, getting down to the end of making your decision. You could definitely consult with multiple, you could talk to different Barnard faculty leads about the ins and outs, but also reach out to some of the Columbia folks and talk about, sort of what might be the differences between the different pathways that you're considering, and then make a decision. All right. So Emily, keep an eye out for anybody who's raising hands, but I'm continuing the chat here. I didn't really understand the difference between the 4+1 and the MS Express apart from the time period for applying. Could you explain if there are any other differences?
So the big difference is that time period for applying that, right? You apply to the pathway program in your junior year and you start, working towards the program in your junior and senior year. The MS Express program, you don't apply until your senior year, and then you would go into the program, as a master's student, similar to everybody else. So you aren't really going to be working with necessarily, the Beyond Barnard team and taking advantage of those resources. So that's really the only difference there.
Christine, can I weigh in on that a little bit? I believe, in computer science, what Gabrielle said is exactly true, that it's just a timing difference. I believe in some of the engineering pathways, like the maybe chemical engineering, some of the others, the Barnard department slightly changes some of its own requirements to make sure that the prerequisites for some of the master's classes are taken and allowed to count towards the undergraduate degree as substitution for other requirements. I don't know those specifics, and I think the people who probably know that most clearly might not be on the call. I don't know if you can speak to that.
Yeah, that's a good point, and that's particularly true in the chemical pathway, that they have made some modifications to the Barnard undergraduate major requirements in order to make it easier to get into it. So that would be an advantage of doing that over applying as a senior to the MS Express. We've got, this is a good question. I want to double confirm that it is correct that reference providers do not need to be Barnard Columbia faculty members. Gabrielle?
We would recommend that they be Barnard or Columbia faculty members, considering they aren't writing a letter. So they are not writing a recommendation letter. You're just providing names, and the faculty will contact them if they'd like to, if they have any questions. So we do recommend that they be Barnard or Columbia faculty.
So that's actually helpful, because I think that we often echo, I think it was Professor Wright who was saying that it could be 2 faculty members and a third from industry, but just to clarify so that we're telling students the correct thing, you would prefer them to be Barnard or Columbia faculty members.
And I saw a question earlier about the acceptance rate, and just as a rule of thumb, we don't share acceptance rates at the School of Engineering for any of the programs. I will say that for the Barnard program and for the MS Express student, MS Express application, that Barnard students and students at Columbia and affiliate schools are looked upon favorably. So it's we want this partnership to work. We want to support our students both at Barnard and at Columbia.
Is it possible to finish the master's, particularly for BME, through early, like by the end of your senior year, if you've completed some courses that can be transferred over to the master's beforehand? So no. You want to explain this first? Yeah.
Christine and I know this very well. You cannot be enrolled in 2 degree programs at once. So you cannot, that's really the long and short of it, is that you can't be enrolled in 2 degree programs at once. So if you are in a bachelor's degree program, then you must finish that program before you can transition into the master's program and earn the master's program, the master's degree. We want to help you do that as quickly as possible, but you cannot do it at the same time.
You stay officially enrolled as a Barnard student. You can take, as we said, up to 15 credits, as long as they're not counting towards your Barnard degree. And then once you are enrolled, apply for those to be transferred. And that puts you, for most of them, halfway there. So that can be really helpful. But yeah, it's, I think we've had at least one person able to complete it in their master's in a single semester. Although I think that's hard, that's a challenge. But it, depending on your degree, your credit situation, it is possible. But for the most part, we encourage. We've had a few people do, I guess, the equivalent of a 3.5 plus 1, where they are close, they're close to being done with their Barnard. Barnard credits enough to graduate in 3.5 years and then move on to the master's at that point. So.
Yeah, I found our official language from the letter, but right, you have to do at least 15 credits at SEAS, enrolled as a master student, and you have to be enrolled for at least 1 semester in order to earn the degree.
Okay, let's see. Good. Okay. So then we got for a neuroscience major, where can we find the prerequisites SEAS requires before applying for the BME masters? Because I can't seem to find those on the neuroscience Barnard page. That's a good question. I don't think we have anybody from either side, unfortunately, Barnard or Columbia. So I'm going to take that question under advisement. That's Jessica. I will let me find out the answer to that and get back to you following the session via email. So, and if it's not there, we will hopefully get that information up. So. Any other, did I miss anything? It's going by kind of quickly. I think I've gotten all of them there. Any other questions, either for the chat or if you want to unmute, raise your hand.
I guess I'll make sure I know the answer to a question that was asked and partially answered in the chat. So a partner, Jesh, asked, as a transfer student, would her GPA be considered separately from her previous institution? And the answer was, we'll look at all of your transcripts. I think more specifically, if there's this 3.5 requirement, is that a 3.5 at Barnard and a 3.5 at a prior institution, a combination, or just that they will both be looked at, but the Barnard one is the only one that matters, or any other variant of that?
So it kind of depends, because what we have found with transfer students is that sometimes a transfer student has transferred in their junior year, so they're applying to the program and they don't have a Barnard transcript yet. So I've found that, and so it will depend. We want to see a 3.5 GPA. And if you are concerned about that, then I would just encourage you to reach out to us via email, and we could look through what you have. It's going to be unique based on someone's situation. If they don't have a Barnard GPA yet for us to go off of, then we're going to have to look at their prior GPA, their prior transcript. I'm assuming if someone transferred into Barnard, their prior transcript was probably pretty strong. That's what we've seen. We typically can make it work out.
I think that officially your official Barnard GPA is based on Barnard courses only, but for these purposes and for graduate school applications in general, you generally submit all of your transcripts, and there's definitely some wiggle room there. And we absolutely, the 3.5, the goal there is to demonstrate a mastery of undergraduate level work so that we feel pretty confident that you're going to be able to handle graduate school work as well as doing some graduate school work during your senior year. That's sort of the idea behind it. If you're close, if you're almost there, or if, there's a slight difference between your Barnard and your other school, don't let that keep you from applying. Come talk to us at Beyond Barnard, or talk to the admissions team over at SEAS, and we'll talk to you and work with you on it.
Right. Ultimately, we want you to succeed. That's why this program was created. Some of you may not be aware, but this program was created when the now provost of Columbia, Mary Boyce, was dean of the School of Engineering. So this was a cause that was really important to her, was to set this program up. So we're not trying to add barriers. We're not trying to make things difficult, particularly for our Barnard students. So we are willing to look at, make an informed decision based off of, a holistic review of what you're submitting to us. I get questions from students all the time that say, they're concerned about the GPA, either for this program or the MS Express program. And I'll ask them, well, what's your GPA? And they'll say, like 3.47. And I'm like, you know what? I will round up. We're talking about a rounding error here. It's okay. We want you to succeed. And so if you have struggled though, and if your GPA as a reflection of that, then that's something, for us to talk about and to consider if maybe it's the right program for you. But we are certainly, we want to look at everything.
So we've got a specific question about preference between Calculus 3 versus APMAE 2000. I'm not sure if there's a specific pathway is that about IEO? I'm not sure which pathway that is. And I don't know the answer. Beyond Barnard, we definitely don't know the answer to the sort of specific preferences on classes. Oh, okay. So Chem E or BME, anybody still here from chemical engineering who might be able to address that?
I'm still here. Sorry, what was the question?
Question is, hold on, let me scroll back. Is there a preference between Calculus 3 and APMAE 2000, multivariable calculus?
Internal to our department, I believe we have our students take the APAM course. It was a course designed based on kind of what we've heard back from students in our preparation for our further engineering math courses. Through taking the math courses through Columbia College or through our department. As to whether or not we'd recommend one or the other, I mean, I can only say that the APAM course is kind of what we require of our students. I don't know how much of an impact that has on our considerations for students entering the program. You will have to take a math core course through our chemical engineering department as an MS student. And so we do recommend that students do come with as strong as they can, math background, especially for differential equations. So if that's helpful at all, that's our recommendation.
Feel free to follow up with Barnard faculty leads or the appropriate contacts in the various in those two departments. So, any other questions? I know some of our folks have had to drop off. Please feel free at this point. We'll wrap things up since we're past time. Thank you again for coming, everybody on the faculty and staff side and all of the students who took the time at a very busy time of the semester to come. Please follow up with questions. Concentrate on your finals. We're here. I'm back on January 4th. Emily's back on January 4th. So take an actual break and then come back at us with your questions, and we'll help you from there. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.